Hi, I'm Old Norse specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. I teach at the University of Colorado Boulder, previously at UC Berkeley and UCLA. One of the most famous monsters of Norse mythology is the Midgard Serpent, or Midgard Serpent. That literally just means serpent of the middle enclosure, Midgardr, which is the world or realm where humans live, surrounded by an exterior ocean that is inhabited by this gigantic serpent. Now, that name for it, though, Midgard Serpent, is actually never used either in the Poetic Edda nor in any skaldic poetry. There, the name that we typically see for it is Jörmungandr. Now, Jörmund means huge or mighty. You might also recognize it from its Old Saxon cognate Irmin, which is in the name of Irminsul, the sacred tree of the Saxons before they were converted to Christianity. And then Gandr means some kind of magical implement originally. But it later comes to mean specifically also a monster in some contexts. So basically, the name Jörmungandr means huge monster. This probably isn't its quote-unquote name, but also another title like Midgardsormr, but it is likely to be an earlier title. Now, Jörmungandr is mentioned in one of the very oldest datable poems in Old Norse, Ragnarstropa by Bragi Bodason, somewhere between about 800 and 850 AD. In this poem, in stanza 16, that name Jörmungandr is used, and in stanza 17, we have one of our oldest confirmed kinnings in Old Norse used for Jörmungandr. That kinning is Borð roins barða brotarth fengr. The side road ship's road's string. So of course the side road ship is just a Viking ship. The road of the ship is the sea, and the string of the sea, the thing that encircles the sea like a string tied around it, is Jörmungandr. Now Jörmungandr is the son of Loki and the giant woman Angrboda. Their other children, of course, include Fenrir, the wolf that will kill Odin at Ragnarok, as well as Hel, the half-dead, half-alive looking woman who rules the realm of the dead, Hel. Now, when these three creatures were born, Hel, Fenrir, and Jörmungandr, according to Snorri, Góðin róktu til spådóma at af systkunum þessum mundi þeim mikill mein og óhap standa. It means the gods learn from prophecies from Spådomer that from these siblings there would come great curse, great harm, mikill mein, and óhap, unluck, bad luck, of course that's the word that becomes English happy, so unhappiness too, you might say. And because of this, we read further in the Prose Edda by Snorri Sturluson, Kastaði hann orminum in djúpa sæ liggur Ólland og så ormur svo at hann liggur í miðju hafinu of Ólland og bítur í sporðsér. He, Odin, threw the serpent into the deep sea which lies around all lands, and that serpent grew so that he lies in the middle of the ocean around all lands and bites his own tail, biter í sporðsér, implying that he's so large that even though he's wrapped around all of the planet, he is still biting his tail at the end. Now, the language in that quote from Snorri's Prose Edda, which of course is written in the 1200s, has some archaic features, including the preposition of, which suggests that Snorri might actually be quoting or thinking of an old poem he knows that tells of this. Unfortunately, we don't have that poem. We do have one old poem that features Jörmungandr heavily, and that is the poem Hymiskvida in the Poetic Edda. Now in this poem, Thor goes fishing for the Midgard Serpent when he is visiting Hymir, which is the Jotun or giant father of the god Tyr. He goes out fishing with Hymir, and he takes a head of one of the beeves out in Hymir's field, sticks it to the end of a fishing hook, and lets it down for Jörmungandr. And here is that story according to stanzas 22 to 24 of Hymiskvida. I'll read first in Old Norse with reconstructed pronunciation, and then I'll give you a fairly literal translation. Egentlig og ongul så oldum berger, orms einbani oxa hofi. Gein vid ongli su góð fjó, gjörð neðan allra landa. Dró djarfliga dóð rokkr Thor, orm eitirfón upp at borði. Hamri kníði hofjall skarar, ofljótt ofan Úlfs hnittbróður. Hreingolken hlumðu en horken þutu, for in forna fold all saman. Sokðisk síðan svo fiskar í mar. That one who saves men, so Old Norse, this of course is Thor, baited on his hook, Egendi Ongl, a head of a steer, Hofti Uxa. And of course we have another name for Thor here, Orms Einbani, one killer of the serpent. So this poem is already anticipating that Thor at Ragnarok and Voluspa will kill Jörmungandr. That one, that umgjörð, that around bandage, that thing made around all lands, allra landa, that one which the gods hate, su góð fjó. It gaped, opened its mouth against the hook, vid ongli. Now, deed brave Thor, dóð rakar Thor, drew bravely through djarfliga, that poison glistening worm, eitirfón orm, up to the ship, up at borði, up to the board. He struck with his hammer, Hamri, the high mountain of the hair, so that is the head of Jörmungandr. That ugly head, that extremely ugly head, Ofljótt, from above, that wolf's forged brother, Ulf's brother. So he drew the poison glistening serpent up to the ship, struck it on the head. The reindeer's enemies howled, wolves howled, probably Hreingolken, reindeer's enemies. And the cliffs whistled Holken Thutu, that could refer to volcanoes erupting. The old earth in Fornafold went all together for Ol Saman, perhaps referring to an earthquake, and then sank, síðan sokðisk, that fish into the sea. So of course, because it lives in the water, Old Norse semantic taxonomy makes it a fish in spite of not having very fishy characteristics. Now, that story is told a little bit differently by Snorri in the Prose Edda. He tells that Thor went disguised as a young man to Jotunheimr, although he tells substantially the same story, including the tiny detail that Thor's foot pushed out the bottom of the boat when he was struggling to reel in Jörmungandr. That particular detail is actually seen in several runestones, one of which I'll show on the screen here so you can see, confirming that that particular story dates to the Viking Age, even though the detailed version of it is only written down in the 1200s by Snorri. That gives us a little bit more confidence in Snorri's narratives not being made up by him, basically, right, of course, other than the fact that he's, of course, quoting from poems that are much older than his own writing. Now, as I mentioned, Jörmungandr will be killed by Thor at Ragnarok, but Jörmungandr will also kill Thor. Voluspa says that Thor goes 9 steps, gengur fet niu, before he dies from the bite of the serpent, which is unanxious about its hateful deed, líðs ókvíðnum. Well, this ferocious and unanxious creature is definitely one of the most memorable of Norse myth, and has always made me think a little bit about mosasaurs that haunted the seas of the Cretaceous.
Hi, I'm Matthew Mossbrucker. I direct and curate the Morrison Natural History Museum in Morrison, Colorado. Over my shoulder here is my pal, Tylosaurus. What does this have to do with Norse mythology? Not a damn thing. However, this is a wonderful animal that would have cruised around the ocean of Colorado about 80 million years ago. This skull is a 5-foot-long representation of an animal as long as a school bus. Closely related to modern-day snakes and lizards, this was the apex predator of the Cretaceous period here in Colorado. You might notice, if you look closely enough, that you have a large row of large, jagged teeth and a couple rows of additional teeth, aiding this animal in swallowing its prey. For many animals, seeing these jaws, it would have been the end of days. From beautiful Colorado, wishing you all the best.